Welcome back to All Your Friends Fest. I'm joined by the one and only guys from State Champs. Thank you guys so much for being here and talking to us. I want to jump right into the new record. So, dropped November of last year. It's phenomenal, by the way.
Thank you.
Being 5 records deep into your career, what was the incentive to go self-titled with this one?
I just feel like when we were writing this, we felt it best described our sound as a band.
Amazing.
Which I feel like, especially self-titled records are usually record 2 or 3, and I just felt like, well, not I. We felt like as a band collectively, we're like, just this body of work really feels like what we would want to best represent us as a band.
Yeah.
Collectively.
Amazing.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, we've been down so many roads, and this one was like, if you're joining us for the first time and you listen to this record, I feel like, you kind of get a little taste of every era of our band. You get a taste of every little sound, and honestly, all the stuff that we've learned along the way, we've applied to like the production elements or even the songwriting or the melodies, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah, I think that's kind of what we say about this record. Like if we're introducing it to somebody for the first time, like start with this record and then go backwards, and I kind of think you'll see the evolution.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that kind of leads into my next question. You've been performing among like the upper echelon of pop punk for the last decade or so. So how do you balance, people expecting a certain sound from you and wanting to experiment, with your sound?
I don't ever think we think about that. We're not like, what do people want? When we go into writing, we're like, do we love this? Do we personally like this music? Like, I think we want to, as creators of the art, we're just like, let's make something that we fall in love with. Because if you're trying to make something for someone else, we don't want it to come out as disingenuine or just
not authentic to
we
yourself,
have to like it first for it to mean something.
I would say the fan aspect of the songwriting part, for me, I feel like the thing that we do kind of consider, I guess, is this going to be like a good live song?
Yeah,
I feel
that.
like, and people think about State Champs and they think about the energy of the records and whatever, and it feels, very sunny day, I think. And I think that's because we do think about like, okay, if we're going to play these songs live, is this a jumper? Is this a circle pit song? Is this a, hands up song? And so, I mean, we consider that kind of stuff, but I think we have discussions within ourselves, like when we're making the songs, like, what do we want to try to accomplish with this sound? Or like, do we want to kind of go outside the box with this thing or try something different? And, I think we've gotten so good at writing a State Champs song that everything just kind of ends up sounding like State Champs once it's all glued together.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even when we try something a little bit left of center, it feels like at the end of the day, it just comes back to that middle.
Still has your essence in it. Yeah. I love that. For those listening, what would be the most surprising influence that helped shape this record? Doesn't even have to be music, something like literature, movies, anything.
It's funny, we talk about this quite a bit. So when we were on tour with Boys Like Girls right before the record came out, this was actually supposed to be slated to be an EP instead of a full-length record. But Martin from Boys Like Girls, we had a discussion with him, and he was just like, it doesn't make sense to put out an EP at this point in time. I think you should make it into a full-length record.
Oh, wow.
And we already had 4 songs done at that point, and that was kind of like an influence to be like, oh yeah, maybe we should write like a full record.
That's so cool.
And so we went almost immediately into the studio and wrote the rest of the record, and I'm really happy how that shaped out, because if that conversation didn't happen, it might have been a very different thing. So as far as an influence, that was a cool influence that I think we've talked about before, but I don't know how in depth we've gotten with that.
that's
So
Yeah,
no,
it kind
that's
of
really
felt
cool.
like he was just like, feels like you guys are maybe taking the easy way out, and that coming from like somebody that we respected as a songwriter and as a performer and as just a person, we were just like, yeah, you know what, honestly, if we really look inward, like maybe that is like what we were trying to do. Like, yeah, it'd be nice to get some music out and like do it quickly, but like we love the 4 songs that we have. Why not just write other songs and like more songs that we love and then put out a full-length record and really like pour ourselves into it? And I'm so glad that we did that. As far as other influences, I think also just like the relationships, I think in the band, fostering that like that friendship and being friends and I guess coworkers or whatever you want to call us, like you know, we're a business too, but we're friends. But like being friends for so long, you know, you're gonna have peaks and valleys, and I think really having some like honest conversations with each other and kind of trying to get on the same page as far as like what does our life look like, what does our band look like, all of these things, having those honest conversations, I think really influenced the process of making the record, which in turn I think influences the sound or the songs or like what you want to say, what you want to what you want to come across to people that are listening.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was really fun too, because in this writing process we rented a house in Joshua Tree. Like we've done remote sessions before where it's kind of like, let's have no outside distractions, let's not worry about anything. But that was the first time we went to somewhere like in the middle of the desert, like truly
remote.
no cell service in the middle of the desert. It was beautiful, and it was really like Ryan said, it was really great to kind of connect in that way of like, cool, let's hang out at night and talk about things, and let that influence the next day of songwriting. It was really beautiful, and
sounds very organic. Yeah.
It was very romantic, you know.
Romantic, sure.
It was organic and romantic.
I thought you said romantic. It was romantic as well as organic.
I love to hear.
There's a little romance with the bros.
Bromance.
nothing wrong
The
with
bromance.
It is Pride Month.
Exactly.
So shout out to
Pride.
Martin too, by the way, changing this from an EP to a full record.
That was a really cool
That is
thing that
cool.
Martin did, because it was a fun conversation to have and kind of made us realize, maybe we should put out a full length.
That's awesome. I feel like a lot of people can listen to your music and not just relate to it, but really like, it's really helped people get through emotional times in their lives. I'm curious what bands or albums, songs have done that for you guys in your lives.
I mean, I think like as I was a young, like moody teenager, kind of like trying to even like figure out what I wanted to say or how I felt, I feel like I listened to a lot of like, honestly, Goo Goo Dolls and like Dashboard Confessional. I think those were some of the first couple bands that I feel like lyrically really talked to me, spoke to me, touched me in that way. Like I wanted to pick up a guitar and like say what I was feeling and didn't know how. And I feel like when I listened to those like early like acoustic bands and records and things like that, those were the people that were kind of saying what I felt at that time in my life.
Gotcha.
So those are always the first ones that kind of stand out to me. Like shout out to Chris, Dashboard Confessional. Like luckily enough, we've been able to become friends over the years. But like,
That's awesome.
man, I don't think I'll ever really actually be able to like describe what some of those records meant to me as like, you know, a kid on a road trip with my parents in the back seat with my headphones on, just like looking out the window.
It
like,
changes your life.
yeah, I'm like, nobody knows how I'm feeling, even though there's millions of people out there who feel the same way, but you just feel like this person's speaking straight to you. So that one is always just one that comes to my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna also say Dashboard and Taking Back Sunday too. A really huge Taking Back Sunday fan. So those would probably be my two. I'm sure there's plenty of more that I just can't think of, but Dashboard,
I mean, I just always go to the emotional, you know, stuff. Like I love Death Cab. I think, you know, in high school I listened to a lot of Death Cab, and you know, not only influenced like the way that I was feeling or it kind of like spoke to me emotionally like that, like it influenced the way that I wanted to play my guitar or like what I wanted to say like through my music, because I'm like, if I can be touched like this, I feel like I can touch somebody like this.
I love that. Yeah. It really comes through in your music too. So
Thank you.
A couple of fun ones just to wrap up. Both of you guys, if you had to pick one quintessential State Champ song, what would it be? And then if you could claim another band song as your own, what would you pick?
That's a good question. I want to say All You Are Is History is a very State Champ song. I feel like it kind of like covers the span of like what we've got going on.
Okay.
You know, riffs, big chorus, fast, poppy.
I feel like the low hanging fruit here is Secrets, but I want to have a better answer than Secrets. You know what I mean? There's also
song for a reason.
Yeah,
that's true.
I just feel like Secrets is exactly what I feel like. I mean, it's one of the biggest songs we have, and I feel like Secret's probably the answer. But we also have so many songs right now that I can't even think of all of them.
Part.
Like
five
now
records
with 5
deep,
records,
it's
I'm
hard
like,
to pick just one. Yeah.
it's like, damn, I don't know. But I would say Secrets. Like
Okay.
All You Are Is History is a great answer too. But
Thanks,
secrets. Yeah, you're really crushing this interview, and I'm proud of you.
You guys are both doing great.
What's a song that you would want
To claim as your own, yeah.
Dude, that's tough.
So you almost have to think like what fits with our sound, but we want something
Yeah.
experimental, something super impactful.
But also, like, I'm thinking of like, I would want the song to. It's got to be like a cultural thing for me.
Right.
Like, you know, if I'm claiming somebody else's song, I want all the glory that came with
Right,
that
exactly.
song. You know what I'm saying?
I'll take a Fall Out Boy, Sugar We're Going Down.
Okay, yeah.
I'll you know what? I'll take that from them.
Okay, just
you
a
know?
massive,
We'll
massive
watch
pop
that
punk song.
answer.
Well, dude, thank you.
I love the
I think
reciprocity
Andy-
here.
I think Andy would be fine with us taking that.
To be honest, it's hard to pick one from this band, but they're the boys, so I'm not trying to ride their meat a little, not too hard. Can I say that? I don't even know.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Simple Plan, probably.
Oh yeah.
Probably like a perfect.
Okay.
I mean, that song
Yeah.
just
Just a perfect
it's
sing-along
just
track.
insane.
He also just randomly breaks out and sings that song.
I love that.
Just randomly.
I
It
thought you were
doesn't
gonna say
even-
he just randomly came out with a fucking killer answer to that
No,
question.
you honestly, that was a left field, and I could not respect your answer. Or
You guys will have to get up there on
respect you,
stage
bro.
with them today and sing
Yeah,
along.
respect this guy.
Dude, I mean, yeah, Simple Plan's a hard one to pick because they also have so many bangers.
They got
It's true.
bangers.
There's a lot of songs I would want to steal, but I'm claiming Sugar We're Going Down.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys both so much for taking the time to chat with us.
you.
Stay tuned for more stuff to come.